Hi, today is Friday, March 24th, 2017. It's the 5th day of the 4th week of Lent, and this is a Swede Speaks. And I would like to talk about 6 reasons why you should not move to Scandinavia. And sort of, if you live here, 6 reasons why you should leave it. So let's get started. Reason number 1. Conformity, also known as Jante's law. This is especially true about Sweden, but it's also true about Denmark and Norway, and as far as I can understand, most likely about Finland too. I mean, no one wants to stand out in a crowd in these countries. Well, except me and a few others, and people are looking strangely at us. Try dressing like a gentleman in Scandinavia. Try being openly pro-Trump. Try supporting the state of Israel. Try being against abortions that are free of charge, paid by the government, and yeah. Try supporting the traditional family. You will run into a lot of problems. So let's take number 2. Taxes. Scandinavia is sort of the reverse tax haven, especially when it comes to personal taxes, but also taxes on businesses. Do you think that there's a coincidence that almost all large Swedish companies that have been big internationally, except for the last few years, Sweden has actually given the world Skype and Spotify. But apart from that, all the big Swedish companies, IKEA, Ericsson, and many others, they were all founded before 1970s. You want to know why? Because until about 1970s, or until about 1970, the Swedish tax rate was not significantly higher than the tax rate in the rest of the Western world. But after that it exploded, and it just killed initiative. And what it also did, yeah, there are still Swedes, like there are still Norwegians and Danes, who are industrious, full of ideas, and you know what most of them do? They emigrate. Reason number 3. The opinion corridor. Okay, you could say this is a part of the conformity. It is, but we have to rub it in again. You are not supposed to think differently than the accepted opinion, especially true in Sweden, but you also have it in Finland, you have it in Norway, you have it in Denmark. And as I said, there are certain opinions you're not supposed to have. I'll give you another example. Try being pro-gun ownership in these countries. You should try that. I think maybe it works pretty fine in Finland. But in Sweden, you're just crazy if you're talking about the citizen's right to defend himself or herself against an attacker. Reason number 4. Islamization. Of course, this is related to some of the other stuff I said. We could start with Denmark is suddenly starting to use its blasphemy law again. And a Danish citizen, or at least he lives in Denmark, 42 years old, posted a video on Facebook in a Facebook group where he was burning the Quran, and he is going to court now for blasphemy. He is prosecuted for this. Finland, the very reason that set off this channel, the Sebastian Tynkkynen case, he wrote something on Facebook, and he was prosecuted and sentenced for hate speech and for being against the freedom of of faith. That's what they said. I mean, this is all code words. But from what, as far as I can understand, what he wrote was something against Islam, and you're not supposed to do that. But it's not just about this. Let me give you another example. In Sweden, now several public swimming halls owned by different municipalities have separate hours for men and women. Guess why that is? And I could just walk down the street in the city where I live, and I see young girls with hijabs, 3, 4, 5 years old maybe. And when you question this, you are an Islamophobe, which, by the way, is a word that has become very popular in Sweden, but you also have it in Denmark. And I don't know how much they use it in Finland, but I know that they are prosecuting people who are objecting to Islam. Number 5. Cultural relativism. If a Swede, or a Dane, or a Norwegian, or a Finn beats his wife, it's men's violence against women. And the problem is, of course, men in general. But if a young girl who wants to marry or date a guy that her parents does not approve of because he has the wrong faith, he has the wrong ethnic background, that means another ethnic background than her own family, even if he's from the wrong clan, and if she has to live in hiding from her own family, or if she supposedly jumps from a balcony, that means in almost all of these cases if she's thrown from the balcony to restore her family's honor. You are not supposed to say that these cultures where this is happening, maybe not often, but it never happens in families that are culturally Swedish or Norwegian or Danish or Finnish. Sure, a Swede might kill his wife, and if he does that, he is prosecuted, he is sentenced, and he goes to jail. And his entire family are not going on about how he restored his family's honor. Now, how about some of the other cultures? And if you say that, for instance, Norwegian culture is better than certain cultures where their daughters are mutilated, female genital mutilation. If you say that because this does not happen in the Norwegian culture is superior to this culture, you're a racist. But this has nothing to do with the blurry concept of race. It has nothing to do with ethnicity in itself. It's about culture. But you're supposed to be a cultural relativist. Number 6. Authorities stealing children. And this is an interesting one. If you don't conform to Sweden, to Norway, or to Denmark, I am not sure about Finland, but I know that at least in Norway, in Sweden, and in Denmark, families are watched by the authorities heavily. And they are also watched because, at least in Norway, I'm not sure about Sweden, but in Norway, you can call in to the social services, or as it's called in Norway, this specific part, the children's services, barnevernet, which means protection of children, but it's really the destruction of the family. You can call in anonymously and make whichever claims you want, and it's a good chance or a big risk that the authorities will show up and just take your child from you, and they are sending it to some foster family, and the foster family is getting paid pretty large amounts to receive this child. And I have understood that even some of the people working in barnevernet, in the so-called care of children, are taking foster children themselves to have an additional income, on top of their salary. And this was 6 reasons why you should not move to Scandinavia. I will return later with more reasons. But this is what I have to say about this right now. I would like to thank the people who are supporting this channel. Through prayers, through PayPal and through Patreon. And if you like this channel, please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Please like my videos if you like them. Please share my videos on social media, on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you are able to share them. And if you got something to say, feel free to comment. And I would also like to encourage you to support this channel. And that can be done through PayPal and through Patreon. And I will include the necessary information in the information box below. This is a Swede Speaks. Have a nice day.